constantly going from glory to glory to glory. They're in the spirit. It's not like you graduate an area and you never get tempted with it again. We're in a year that literally the entire world has been traumatized.
Fear and
it really is. And when we think about it, it's the of COVID, uncertainty,
in so many areas.
Not exactly.
Health, financial, mental. There's so many things that even in relationships are. They're doubting each other. People are doubting each other from what we've had to face this last
and a lot of people, sometimes it's even hard to locate, is anxiety and that there is stress. And I think it's important because we have 65 days, as you pointed out, God says, fear not a day. But though he says that, and we know that, how do we live that out? And so one of the things with anxiety, I think I found myself anxious a couple weeks ago. And I was, feeling, and this article just popped up. And when I started reading the article, I went, man, this is 6 years I'm serving the Lord in his word every day, praying. But then when I sat and do this, recent, it's heart, and encourage. If my book is abnormal, say, well, we've had personal with family, but the reality is, less often we have people. If you go to 2019, about people, lovers, anxiety, just like to Peter, the Apostle Peter, to be tied, set, don't want you to be tense. I'm on edge time. All right, reader, let me with and give you the fire for anxiety. It's in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 8, because we continue to behold in the word of glory from one to the other. Wash our skins and give you the
Let it hurt new 3-disc doors the peace
are not way
for us
but we have according to its word
was fear not page containing anxiety rest the along with her leathers inscribed for my not for I am with your minute 70 heck Paula White or for your God spirit of fear but of love and mind you can fear and
the toll-free number, $7, an anxiety brand new, plus my 4 new disc one, the shadow bracelet. I see one. You just say, well, I don't need to give your thirst or more to the fear and anxiety. And that would be a couple of that's going to say, fear anxiety does. Phobia is good. So how do you overcome these? But so you really have to go, okay, God is all seeing, God omnipotent, he's everywhere, the devil is not, all came into being. God says this. When Paul, and he said, thorn in his flesh. Some people say a physical condition, most the buffeted Paul. Imagine praying, take it away, take it away. He had some rough words from the, hey, you're going to be prison, you're going to be beaten.
Poor Paul.
Exactly, poor Paul. I mean, can you imagine be like, no, then assignment to someone else, but God, Master Stephen. So say, trust God. What did they show? There's 50 some God, but my trust, afraid what man can do. First one, adhere to, trust in, and rely on me. I have to remind myself of this fear because it's a real thing. And suddenly go, okay, trust God. I have to be that resolute. I trust God. But your finances, throw the bills over. And you're doing know that God part. The second one to overcome fear and is you have to cast down imaginations. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 3 and 5 describes these kind of irrational fears. Like I used to be very afraid of that were really high. It was irrational. Like get up and it was going to fall off and I would die. It was irrational. But that's a stronghold.
Fear of flying, same way.
It's fear of flying, panic attack. There are all kinds of fear which seeks to keep us in bondage. And these are strong. And we cast down these imaginations. So what are they? They're imagining what might happen. What if I say false evidence appearing real? And then I know this next one, the third you overcome fear, that you had to deal with this as a young boy.
You get rid of the guilt, yeah. Young boy, my father give boundaries and say, you're not allowed to take your bicycle this far. And if I ever see you out farther than this, I'm going to take your bike away. And you'll get a spanking. And somebody busted me. I was testing the boundaries. And as soon as I did it, I knew I was in trouble. Remember waiting for him to get home going, what is he going to do when he finds out that I have made the boundary law? They took my bike away, grounded me for 2 weeks, and I got a spanking, so.
Well, okay, now that's not a bad lesson to learn because
I was guilty.
You were guilty.
And that was the first time I can remember actually having anxiety. But I loved my father.
And you didn't want to disappoint him.
And I disciplined him by disobeying him.
Okay, so this is very interesting because the number one reason for anxiety is guilt.
Right.
It's when we violate our conscience by doing something that we believe is wrong.
Right.
Psalm 32:3 says, when I kept my mouth wax over my roaring all the day long, David said,
Right.
afraid you're going to be caught. You're afraid.
Busted.
And I'm busted. It all is bad. I'm not a good person. They find out, fear, reject. So it's all saying, but God's not guilty. But it's not just you're not guilty, but you're not, because you come to Him, you repent, which means I changed my mind, I changed my way, I changed my direction. You go to God and you ask for forgiveness. God forgives you. You have to learn how to forgive, not to repeat those things. So guilt is not a bad thing. It's teaching us we're crossing those barriers. Ephesians 1, He hath made us into the brethren. Understand that God accepts you. And you have to get rid. This is how we overcome fear and anxiety specifically, which produces stress. Get rid of the second greatest cause of anxiety, and that is a result of emotional or mental that happen in our life. Like I resent my ex-husband, I resent my ex-wife, I resent that my mom did this, I resent that my dad abandoned. When you live in that and you have resentment, anxiety,
It's a burden.
It's a burden.
You can actually make yourself ill.
It's true.
You can, lots of illnesses come from burdens that people carry around from their own anxiety.
And the Bible tells us in verse 18:8, the wound of a tail, they go down into the innermost part of the belly. So what happens when you get wounded? It goes to the inner part of your spirit. You get toxic.
Your body
on the
will give you
inside.
something to worry about.
So true. So that bitterness, and then we'll go to the last one. Like if a woman hated her stepfather, she was abused or he was controlling or whatever, now anxious and thinks all men are abusive and all men are going to hurt her. Not true. But this is how the enemy works.
It's a spot pattern that is almost impossible once you start spinning down into it. And I think giving it to the Lord is the only way.
I agree with Rick, okay? Admit to like in other words, I'm not going to fight God and quit. We'll be right.
Need to be afraid. Telling a 3-day series. Why can't even
On what God has said, and so God's word will not return.
fear evidence appearing in cognitive systems and reverse the effect of fear, anxiety, stress.
Stress is all around us in society, but we don't stress out. God's
Pumpkin read your own shadow of the race. They carry 77 call to write, give, or gift dollars or Gilbert series. Overcoming does not give spirited, but on and of love. As much tip.
All of us face fears. We don't have to live there. Stay series together. Coming fear and anxiety. I give step by step words over and over, and which in your soul, in your mind, for new practical steps. I identify them. I know the anxiety word for your $70 more, but also my brand new 4-disc series on a shadow of the Almighty on Psalm 9. It's in depth that I think is real revelation. Help you understand how to overcome things very deep. And then remind Isaiah 41:10. Where and whenever you start to feel anxious, and the way you get something, God is there, it comes. I'm going to make it through this. So for your dollars, now you get full of the price complete. Go to that. If you have $77 and get them. Now John's going to minister. He wrote it on iTunes and he worships.
All the ways of our street like the light of you in faith as you hide. If you are for me again, for your mirror, rock, take it. Mating vigil, holy name. I'm afraid. Begins. Take the make. Great. Over the thousand holy church. Stop showing. I'm asking. Must you do it? You are taking that thousand miles. You know the only confusion. You be myself with.
If the fire no matter storm, rise untaken. Let's pray right. Father, I'm facing their marriage relational, or maybe it's how in their life. Jesus Christ says He honors His word and Him, and pray not only to own Jesus Christ and believe, say, and read it to you, but Bob, pray this prayer with me, Son Jesus Christ. What is it to be pray this together? I say the need Cyrus as my personal. You to have from me. You prayed that God, Facebook, Paul, I wouldn't really listen to John podcast, things more than any praying for through.
Oh my God! Oh God! You say fix just do.
Bring my voice.
Don't under
The voice I tell you of. You hate yourself and I hate your life in your hand.
just give me a chance. Jesus.
work on how I was going to love God. Because even if he was sinning, it did not. I had to start being humble and saying, oh, Lord, trying to fix it work. You've got to.
The book in the family.
John, it's pretty normal. Of beautiful days, those wonderful moments, and the may not so one moment or on toast. Here from the book of Hebrews, Jesus says, with you, the rest in heaven, child is willing to form your marriage. Today, to some might be in your marriage. Every marriage has them. All of us need help to get through those. Trigger it. Jean, my wonderful wife, accountability.
I think it's we have Jean along with us, and Guy and Amber Leah are relationers of a Faith and Family Production Company in Los Angeles, and have been married here and have 4 boys. And they've written together called Marriage Triggers for Gentle Biblical Responses. We have the ministry on your screen.
Glad to be here.
I'm real for this. I think it's one communication issues for each other. Understand those trigger into that. And then you came up with the you just marriage as triggered from the start. That sounds a little frightening. Why was that the case? And didn't you enjoy a little bit of a honeymoon period?
We had a little bit of not very long.
Things moved very, very quickly for us. Within months, we so have time to develop our identity, young Mary. The room that was going to suddenly turned into the baby room. And she's my wonderful planner, and so she shifted in hiding mode and all this. Like, what?
That you said it's still everything.
It's still is. I'll admit that can those are one of the differences we have in our relationship. Is she very much the planner, 10 steps ahead, very one or two in the moment, and so we have to continually fight.
There were other stressors going on for those listening. That maybe say my wife, it's my husband. What were some of those other?
And some truth to that. It's practical problems, and when you're you get married, later is a different beast.
Really?
And it was even early on. Just that I wanted to put in our apartment a wall or photo, make room for windows and all of that, and a wall of pictures. And I thought, I'll lay it out. We'll measure. Guy will all the hand. And he woke up he woke up ready for the football game.
It was the Notre Dame U.S. football game, and that's what I had planned for that day.
I know, that's right.
During the C Notre Dame game,
because we didn't at the time have communication work through things, which we want for both is possible. We're just anger, and so we're reacting instead of responding.
Did the wall get the pictures, or did the game watch?
The wall got done, and the game got watched part of it. So
I have either at the end.
It's still this is a pivotal day for us.
Yeah,
well, you both became convinced that you'd know.
I married for sure. He married me all wrong. We got it all. Used to think, well, believe in God's sovereignty. This was a mistake. I mean, we really felt that way early. Even though I loved him, I liked him, we had so many years that I wondered, how are we going to navigate this for the rest of our lives? And it wasn't until working on me personally and argued for a really long time, and that didn't work. The Lord eventually started to say all wrong, and he is to wrong fix and accept Jesus. As long as you continue to be prideful, you are going to live life or have the marriage. The minute you say I do, a match in heaven. And it was like, you know what? We made a vow. It did bring us together. He is wrong. I'm wrong. But that's because we're people that are still being fitted in Christ. That's what's right for each other.
One of the things that Jean and I have encountered, I think Dean had encountered this too, this way, get your foot out of your ears. Because I think we get into the habit of relating. The more pain the more trigger you're causing, the harder I stuff because I don't want to hear it. And it is the example, right?
Yeah, the pain acts as blinders. It feels to not able to hear or see each other.
And that is a fork in the road in your God.
Never came up with one of the pivotal things in our book. Is the development of a me first attitude. And at first thought, that sounds like prideful. What is actually it's the I need to start with. I want her and compassionate about my need. I need to show her that compassion first beat, and it changes everything.
Well, obviously, and teach about all of them.
List over there.
I see the list. It's going to the floor there. One thing you identified with, and Jean for me is.
Yes. It's an unique person with third and your home had to dismiss the idol singer for the mess to take together.
In 12 hours, just got home. At this time, it was 3 hyper, and and walked inside, and I'd be what there, and it goes back to our constant, and it goes back to our constant.
Lay of the land,
right? Just so I know.
When I would call it secretary communication thing, maybe backseat. But early in your marriage, it happens.
In front of me,